So today we're going to be taking a look at a scenario where the British Raj comes back. The return of the British Raj would certainly make for an interesting geopolitical and mapping scenario. So if you guys do enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new. All the support is greatly appreciated as we're trying to get to 200,000 subscribers by the end of this summer. Yesterday our brand new Discord server just launched, and so far it has been super successful. It's going exactly how I wanted it to go. We have around 800 members as of me recording this, but at this time tomorrow when this video releases, it's probably at around 1,000 members. So do make sure to join. It's a growing community. It's way better than our previous Discord servers because it's actually on topic. But anyway, link to that in the description, and let's go ahead and jump straight into this video. So the British Raj has just randomly come back. We're going to assume that it's not owned by the British and that it is a sovereign nation, because if the British own this thing, they would probably be one of the strongest, if not the strongest country in the world. Let me tell you why. So if the British Raj were to unite into one country, it would be the most populated country in the world, having around 1.92 billion people within it. That is mostly thanks to India, of course, being the most populated country, but also Pakistan and Bangladesh are also heavily populated. As for its economy, it would be the third best in the world, having $5.37 trillion worth of GDP, nominal. And finally, as for its military strength, it would likely be the third or fourth total strongest country in the world, still behind the USA, Russia, or China, but you know, right up there. But now the British Raj is going to go on an expansionist conquest, because that's what we do around here. The first nation that the Raj will be targeting is none other than Afghanistan. As for reasoning, I honestly couldn't give you one. I don't know what the benefits are of invading Afghanistan. I don't know if it's like a religious thing, hopefully not, and I don't even think that's possible because the Raj is like so religiously diverse. But anyway, we will be invading into Afghanistan, and honestly, good luck. The United States did it, and they occupied Afghanistan sort of for like 20 years. Ultimately, they ended up leaving and I guess technically losing. But all the other empires that have tried to play around with Afghanistan before have all fallen. Will the British Raj be any different? Hopefully so, but no guarantees. The invasion of Afghanistan is really difficult. Afghanistan is a giant mountain, but luckily for the British Raj, they have a lot of troops to spend, and they also have a lot of money to spend those troops on, and their military is of course one of the best in the world. So eventually Kabul will be captured and Afghanistan will be forced into surrender, although I'm not sure if Afghanistan is really a country that is known for surrendering to foreign powers. Usually not. So maybe we'll just say that eventually we have the Raj taking over the entire country and occupying every part of it. So let's go ahead and take a look at this peace treaty. And in the Treaty of Kabul, we have Afghanistan pretty much getting fully annexed. That's not true. They do still exist over here next to Turkmenistan and Iran, but the British Raj will be taking a majority of this country. So now let's talk about the geopolitical impacts that the British Raj coming back has on the world. First of all, its main rival would most likely be China, a nation right to its north, but also a nation that can rival it. At this point, China is still probably stronger than the British Raj, but I don't think that they would be far behind. In terms of like global politics, this is a game changer because now China has two rivals, the United States and the British Raj. Currently, China has, you know, really only one rival in the US. India is kind of getting there, but not to the level of the US, but having the British Raj back does put them in that category. So this is ultimately good for the United States if they can develop a healthy relationship with the British Raj, which I'm sure they will be able to. You know, they've had good relations with Pakistan in the past. They've had good relations with India before. They currently kind of do have good relations with India. Really, it's back and forth. The only issue I think would come from within the Raj is like the Myanmar areas and the recently annexed Afghanistan areas. But overall, I do believe the USA and the Raj would be friendly, and the Raj and China would not be. Now, it does have Pakistan in it, and we know that Pakistan is an ally of China, but India is just so much more populated than Pakistan that I think it's likely that the, I guess the hatred for China would overwhelm the love for China. Anyway, it's time to start another war. This time we're going after the great nation of Tajikistan. If I were to be asked what happens in Tajikistan, I would have to answer, honestly, I have no clue. There is not a single fact that I know about Tajikistan other than that they sometimes like to beef with Kyrgyzstan. And you know, same thing for Kyrgyzstan. I don't really know anything about them either. So I should probably learn some stuff about the countries that I always talk about. Anyway, we have the Raj fully invading and annexing all of Tajikistan. And let's go ahead and see what they do in this peace treaty. Alright, so in this treaty, we actually have the partitioning of Tajikistan. India will not fully annex them. Instead, they will just take some of the land that they wanted. So these two large areas over here. And as for the rest of the country, it will not be allowed to exist. Instead, we have this area of Tajikistan going over to Kyrgyzstan. This could have horrible implications. But then this part of Tajikistan will go over to Uzbekistan, and this honestly could be even worse, but I would have no clue. So now Central Asia is looking a little bit more, I guess, cleaned up. That's the fixing the borders within me talking there, not the geopolitical guy. But now the Raj is looking something like this, and honestly, it looks really good. But now the Raj is going to turn its eyes down to the southeast, specifically eyeing up Southeast Asia. Now this region is kind of all over the place. geopolitically, but Thailand is one of those countries where I don't think anyone would come to their aid, but the Raj will start to invade into Thailand, and this war will go pretty good for the Raj at first. We have a little bit of pushing back by the Thai armies. They're a lot more familiar with the area, and therefore they have the advantage against the invading Raj troops, but also Thailand is the strongest country that the Raj has fought so far, so it does make sense that they would finally show signs of at least a little bit of struggle, even if they are going to continue to invade in anyway. Like, for example, we could see Thai forces securing the southern bit of Myanmar over here, but that likely wouldn't change the fact that there's an entourage of Raj troops invading from the north. Eventually, a couple divisions go around the Bangkok area and go to encircle it, in which they do. In this successful military campaign, will split Thailand into two pieces. From here, we see Laos join the war and start to invade into this part of Thailand, just days after it was cut off from the main area down south. Speaking of that main area, Raj forces will slowly start to squeeze into the area until they eventually reach the coast and take Bangkok. Up north, Laos will continue its invasion of this part of Thailand, but Raj forces will also start to push in, limiting the amount of land that Laos can get. Down south, we have the complete liberation of all of Myanmar, followed by a continuing invasion until eventually Thailand will make the decision to surrender to both the British Raj and over to Laos. So with the war done, we can now take a look at what the fate of Thailand will be, as the British Raj looks to continue to expand its territory, and as Laos looks to get a little bit of land from this. And in the Treaty of Bangkok, we have the British Raj taking all of this land from Thailand, going all the way down into the Malay Peninsula. They also take the entire coastal area over here in this bay, so they will get a ton of valuable land from this treaty. And then as for Laos, they will be getting this little section of Thailand. So the country does still exist, however, it's severely economically crippled and likely will be as strong as Cambodia, if not weaker than them, in the near future. Okay, so the Raj is looking great. I mean, this looks like a pretty strong empire. It looks kind of familiar if you watch my series. Check that out too, by the way. We talk about it a lot in the Discord server, which you should join. Link below, by the way. Just letting you know. But yeah, this thing has gone unchecked for a little bit too long, and now it's going to have some consequences. More specifically, we have a new official alliance being created between the Chinese and the Iranians. This alliance is aimed at stopping the expansion of the Raj into any more territories, including but not limited to the remnants of Afghanistan into Central Asia and down into Southeast Asia. The British Raj will of course feel threatened by this. I mean, it's a coalition basically just waiting for you to make your next move, so it's advised that you probably don't make your next move, but they're going to anyway. They declare war on Oman. This is weird, but hey, maybe the Raj wants some of that oil from Saudi Arabia at like a discounted rate, so they're gonna get up on their border. I don't know if that's actually how that works. That was just pure speculation on my part, but the Raj will start to invade Oman, and this invasion goes pretty well for them. Oman isn't as strong as the Raj is, and obviously they will have to eventually fall over to this cause, so they do. So we can take a look at a peace treaty between the British Raj and randomly the country of Oman. And the treaty is pretty simple, as it turns out. They will just annex the northern coast of Oman. I do believe that this would kind of hurt Oman a little bit, so not good for them, but they do still exist and they do still have a majority of their land. That's interesting. I didn't want to do that. Getting a little bit too ahead of ourselves there, aren't we? But now the Raj has an idea. Instead of like having to fight that coalition all by yourselves, how about we go out and like get some allies to fight this thing? Because no matter how you look at it, these guys are in the way. Gotta form that British Raj Empire, you know? So the British Raj will go on a diplomatic quest. They're gonna go around to the surrounding region of the Indian Pacific area and maybe even the East Asian area and try to get themselves some allies in order to fight back against the Chinese-Iranian coalition. They will head first over to Saudi Arabia, meet up in the capital, and this is where they secure their first ally. Saudi Arabia joins an alliance with the British Raj. Following this, they head up north into Iraq and surprisingly are able to land Iraq in an alliance as well. This instantly will threaten the borders of Iran, who will then go ahead and convene with China to get a new member to join their alliance, this time being Laos. No big deal for the Raj though. They're going to go on yet another diplomatic mission, and this time they're going to get help from Turkey, who joins their alliance as well. Now, as far as these three Middle Eastern countries working together within the same alliance, I don't think it's too possible, definitely between Turkey and Iraq, but you know, there's a giant British Raj on this map, so we're not really too concerned about realism at this point now, are we? Iraq and China will then try to find yet another ally to join their alliance, but at this point no one is too interested, because having the Middle East looking like this, usually you don't want to get involved in these kind of wars. But the British Raj will continue to look for allies, and they're going to try to find another one. And they do, this time being Taiwan. They will then visit over to South Korea and Japan, but are unsuccessful in getting the Western countries to join their cause. And right around this time, we have the assassination of China's president by British Raj forces. This is a blatant attack on Chinese sovereignty and an official declaration of war as the two blocs go to war with each other. So we have ourselves a pretty good South Asia war here. And as you can see, split Asia into two. Yep, that definitely is all of South Asia, not just Southeast Asia, but South Asia as a whole, including the Middle East. The Red Alliance will start their invasion into this area of Iran, and the British Raj will start their invasion from the east. And to be quite honest with you guys, I don't think Iran's gonna do too good in this war. I mean, this is like the gangbang of all time, and China's just kind of watching as it happens. Speaking of, the Chinese and the Laosians, something like that, but they're gonna start invading into this area of Myanmar and Thailand, where the British Raj's defenses are the weakest. Remember, this area was just recently annexed, so control of it probably isn't all that great yet, and eventually these forces will reach over to the Indian coast and connect up with the Bay of Bengal. Let's check in on Iran. Oh, that's not going so good. So the red team's forces have kind of focused themselves on taking out the Persian Gulf area. Getting full control over this body of water would be very beneficial for their cause. You could also start to like starve Iran if you're like that. I mean, that's kind of how war works sometimes. So yeah, war of attrition, but also probably just war of starvation. Back over here, Taiwan will get invaded. Them joining this alliance was kind of like a gambling move. They knew that their island would be invaded by China, but they also know that there's a chance that the British Raj and their allies will be able to take out China, meaning that Taiwan could finally get its independence. So they will risk Chinese occupation and annexation for the slight chance that the Raj wins this war and China is defeated. Back down over here in the Myanmar area, we have the British Raj forces finally pushing back against the Chinese and the I gotta learn what it is. The Lao Army, the People's Republic of Laos Army, something like that. But this pushback is very successful for India, but they do struggle taking back this stronghold area over here in Thailand and are unable to push the Chinese completely out of their country as of now. Back over in Iran, it will not be going so great for them as they start to lose their guerrilla warfare tactics in this very large mountain range right here. Eventually, we have the meeting up of troops in the south of Iran, encircling a large number of Iranian troops who all get captured and become POWs. As for central Iran, it is eventually lost with the Raj forces and Middle Eastern forces working together. Eventually, those same Middle Eastern forces will capture the capital of Iran, which is Tehran, and we have the surrender of Iran shortly after. Now the red team can focus in on fighting against China. And to be honest with you, it's not going so good right now. China is having a pretty easy time pushing right back into this area that the Raj just liberated. Now starting a new campaign from the north of India, pushing into that weird little exclave area they have that actually isn't an exclave, connected by a tiny little gap right here. Yeah, really weird. I'd love to learn the history behind that. But then China and Laos will meet up in this area of the Bay of Bengal, which is a lot further south than where they previously were, which allows them to start moving into the peninsula area. Up north, the Raj has a little bit of success in pushing back against this offensive, but once again, they are kind of being overwhelmed by Chinese forces as they start to get near towards Bangladesh. And you really don't want that to happen, but it kind of just did happen as they enter into the southern portion of Bangladesh over here near the Bay of Bengal. And Chinese forces will successfully capture the remaining area of Myanmar. It will then start to slither right back down the coast of Thailand, getting near towards Bangkok. But then we finally have another front opening in this war, this time up here in the Central Asia region. Now, I do know that this region is hard to invade from. Yeah, like the Himalayan mountains are here. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, you're not gonna move an entire military across those things. This is where it's kind of like skinnier, but you know, still. So how about we just say that they do a mass paratrooper campaign and land a bunch of troops over here near Kyrgyzstan. I don't know if that's really possible, especially with China's air defenses, but we're going to assume that it is because once again, I said so. Really bad way to tell stories, but anyway, with troops now fully entering into the western portion of China, we have pretty much nothing changing for China. They're not really worried about the western area, especially this western area. But we finally see China and Laos take over this area of Thailand and continue to move down the Malay Peninsula. And what would you know? Tibet is in open rebellion. Turns out that Tibet never really wanted to be a part of China. The whole thing after World War II, yeah, they weren't really a fan of that. But here they have achieved themselves a rebellion. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to win their rebellion. In fact, there's a pretty good chance that China just crushes this thing. But we'll have to see. No guarantees. Okay, yep, all right. Once again, Himalaya Mountains, the Tibetan Plateau. I really don't know how you fight a military war there. It's just kind of a lot of mountains. Big mountains too. These aren't little mountains. These are really big mountains. With the Tibetan rebellion kind of distracting some of the Chinese forces in this area, we have India taking advantage of it and pushing right on in, taking the Chinese defensive forces by surprise as they were waiting for reassignment. A great decision made by the Raj, and they will eventually reach the border of China, making this now a two-front war to fight back against. As for the Tibetans, they will continue to lose ground against the PLA, but the Raj will continue to gain ground against that same PLA. At this point, the Raj and the Middle East are in need of a new ally and a new front, and what better ally to add than that of Vietnam? Vietnam will instantly join this war on the side of the Raj, wrong color, there we go, and their intentions are pretty simple, not to take land from China, but to take land from Laos. You see, when Vietnam was first colonized by the French, you had French Indochina / Siam. Vietnam was kind of like all up in this land and they want it back. So they're going to start invading into Laos. And at this point, you know, Laos has looked pretty good in this war. They've helped out China a lot, but it turns out that China was the one doing pretty much all the work because Laos just got absolutely folded by the Vietnamese army. This fold is so bad that they start to invade into the areas of the Raj, and quickly Chinese forces are trapped in the south of Myanmar / Thailand as Raj and Vietnamese forces push them out. This is not good, this is dangerous, so they'll start loading up their armies on boats in hopes of sending them back home to China. But as this is happening, we have a lot of troops being lost, as both the Raj and Vietnamese navies open fire on the carrier ships bringing those troops home. I don't know if that's a war crime. It might be. We have to ask Switzerland and Geneva. But anyway, the Tibetan rebellion has at this point been pretty much put down all the way. It's kind of holding out near the Raj borders, but other than that, not going much further. You know who is going further though? The Raj. They will take back all of this area from China, and now with the help of a united Southeast Asian front, they will start to invade into the southern area of China. And it's at this point in the war that is kind of getting attritioned out. China is tired, the Raj is tired, the Middle East is tired. Support for this war in the Middle East is at an all-time low, and even to an extent, the support for the war in the Raj is also at an all-time low. Vietnam got what they wanted, so they're also kind of looking for a way out, and China's morale has been completely destroyed. So after a couple of years of fighting each other, we have officials from the Raj and officials from China agreeing to meet in Moscow to discuss terms of peace. So let's take a look at that peace treaty. And the Treaty of Moscow will be a pretty simple one. So the British Raj will be annexing this land from Iran, this land from Laos, and then finally this little bit of land from China. Vietnam will be annexing the remainder of all of Laos, making them look something like this. They will not be taking any land from China. And then as for the Middle East and Iran, Turkey will be taking the entirety of northern Iran, and the oldest border in the world will be falling as Iraq will be annexing land from Iran, now leaving the country looking something like this. Don't ask me what Saudi Arabia gets from this treaty. It's probably a whole bunch of war reparations and maybe some, you know, free resources and stuff. As for China, all they really did is lose that land down here. They were able to put down the Tibetan rebellion, but unfortunately for Taiwan, their little gamble did not play off as they ended up getting annexed by the PRC, meaning that now there is only one China in the world, and Taiwan's whole sovereignty issue is no longer an issue. It's gone, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, depending on who you ask. But that is going to do it for today's video. So if you guys did enjoy it, make sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're trying to get to 200,000 subscribers by the end of this summer. We're about 11,000 subscribers away, and I guess the summer for this channel ends in August, even though real summer ends in September. But I guess the period that I'm referring to, summer, ends in August for the channel. So it's possible. Let's try to get there though. You know, we're almost 10K away, almost in those 4-digit areas. So I think we can get there. Another thing I want to announce real quick is that there will be a live stream this upcoming Monday instead of a video. I've been wanting to do a live stream recently, and with daily upload week ending soon, I figured that I should, you know, maybe take a little bit of a break from recording and editing videos and just do something live instead. And, you know, I've been wanting to do a live stream, and it will probably be a Wixo live stream. We're going to be doing some stuff on that map. More about that in the Discord server. I'll make an announcement there. And speaking of that Discord server, you should join it. It's brand new. It's a lot better than the previous servers. On topic, it's about mapping. You can post all your maps, flags, scenarios, theories, whatever you want there. And that's all for me. So once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. And of course, thank you to all our super fans. This includes Serminator, IC Static FN, CTG on YT, Igsco, Euroball, Augusto, A Norwegian, RS, Gail Martinez, America and Canada and UK, Zaylance, the leader of the AZO, Freezioi, Laser Taze, Pablo Sigma Cat, Death Strider X, Hammer Toad 45, and of course, DW Cool Dude. Once again, thank you guys.